Dejo, born in the Netherlands in 1912, became famous for astonishing the medical community by piercing his body with all sorts of objects, seemingly without injury. Dejo achieved international fame in the 1940s for his apparently supernatural ability to pierce his body with various objects, including swords and large needles, without suffering injury, bleeding, or pain. The medical community, initially skeptical, was perplexed by Dejo's abilities. He was subjected to a series of X-rays and other tests while objects passed through his body, confirming that there was no trick or illusion in his performances. Martin Lorello, known as the Owl Man, possessed an extraordinary and unique ability. He could turn his head 180 degrees. This rare and surprising talent allowed him to look directly behind him without moving the rest of his body. His skill was not a simple trick, but the result of years of training and a unique physical condition that allowed him to dislocate vertebrae without causing harm. He performed in variety shows and circuses, where he was often the center of attention. Edward Mordrake, born into a wealthy and noble English family in the 19th century, was cursed with a second face on the back of his head. Yes, you heard that right. A face that supposedly whispered to him at night, uttering repugnant and disturbing thoughts. Desperate to rid himself of this curse, Edward sought help from numerous doctors and spiritualists, but no one could provide a solution. He eventually sank into a deep state of despair and madness, losing his life at a young age. The legend of Edward Mordrake lives on today as a haunting story that defies medical understanding and popular imagination. Schlitzie, born in 1901, was a sideshow performer known for his condition of microcephaly, which gave him a small head and lifelong intellectual challenges. Schlitzie was a natural performer and found his calling in the world of sideshows. With his contagious laughter and playful personality, he became an instant hit, whether singing, dancing, or telling jokes. Schlitzie really took off when he appeared in the film Freaks in 1932, playing himself. Prince Randian, also known as the Human Snake. Born in 1871 in British Guiana, he faced a great obstacle from birth. He was born without arms or legs. Prince had some impressive skills. Despite his physical limitations, he was agile as a cat and strong as a bull. Using only his torso and head, he could move around like no one else. He could roll cigarettes, light them, and even shave using only his mouth. Randian became a superstar in freak shows in the late 19th and early 20th. Annie Jones, born in 1865 in Virginia, United States, began showing signs of hypertrichosis, a condition characterized by excessive hair growth at a very young age. Her beard began to grow when she was just 5 years old. Annie was discovered by P.T. Barnum, one of the most famous entertainment promoters of the time, who included her in his famous Curiosities show, Barnum's American Museum, in New York. Annie quickly became one of the most popular attractions, becoming known as the Bearded Woman. Pauline Musters, known as the world's smallest woman, was born in the Netherlands in 1876. Throughout her short life, which lasted until 1895, she reached a maximum height of just 23 inches, which drew the attention of everyone. Her extraordinarily small stature made her a celebrity in curiosity shows of the time, allowing her to travel the world and perform before fascinated audiences. Unfortunately, she died of pneumonia and meningitis in 1895 at just 19 years old. Myrtle Corbin, the four-legged girl from Texas. Born in 1868, Myrtle Corbin joined the freak show circuit at the age of 13 and was known as the four-legged girl from Texas. From a young age, Myrtle captured the public's attention with an extraordinarily unique feature. She was born with dipagus, a rare condition that gave her an additional set of smaller legs, belonging to an undeveloped parasitic twin. This earned her the nickname, the four-legged girl from Texas, although she was actually born in Tennessee. Alice Elizabeth Doherty, known as the Werewolf Girl. Her story is as unique as it is rare, as Alice became known for an extremely uncommon genetic condition called hypertrichosis lanuginosa, which caused her to be born with a thick layer of soft hair known as lanugo, covering her entire body. From a young age, Alice caught the attention of everyone around her, and her parents decided to exhibit her condition in curiosity shows. Her unique appearance made her a popular attraction in circuses of the time. Johnny Eck, born in 1911 in Baltimore, Maryland, was an actor and circus performer who was born without the lower half of his torso. He became a renowned performer, known for his impressive acrobatics and charismatic presence. Johnny was also a talented painter, musician, and filmmaker. His fame grew when he starred in the film Freaks in 1932, showcasing his skills and proving that he was more than just a unique physical appearance. General Tom Thumb, whose real name was Charles Stratton, was born in 1838 and stood just 25 inches tall. He was discovered by P.T. Barnum when he was just 4 years old. Before long, he became the main attraction at Barnum's American Museum in New York City. He could sing, dance, act, and even impersonate historical figures, being a true one-man show. Tom Thumb took his show to Europe, where he mingled with royalty, including Queen Victoria. He became a household name, with his face appearing on everything from trading cards to teacups. Julia Pastrana, born in 1834 in Mexico, is one of the most fascinating and tragic figures of freak shows. Known as the Baboon Woman, she suffered from terminal hypertrichosis, which covered her body with a dense layer of hair. Even after her death, her body was exploited for decades, turned into an object of profit and curiosity. Daisy and Violet Hilton were conjoined twin sisters born on February 5, 1908, in Brighton, England. They were joined at the hip and buttocks, sharing a common blood circulation but possessing separate organs. Their lives were marked both by their talent as performers and by the personal and legal challenges they faced. From an early age, the sisters were exploited by their adoptive mother, Mary Hilton, who exhibited them in circuses and fairs. After Mary's death, they were controlled by her daughter Edith and Edith's husband, who continued to use them to make money. The sisters were trained in various performing arts, including singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments, becoming talented and popular on vaudeville stages. In 1931, Daisy and Violet sued their adoptive guardians for abuse and exploitation, finally gaining their freedom. From that moment, they began to control their own careers and finances. They appeared in several films, including Freaks and Chained for Life, and continued to perform in vaudeville shows. And Jack Earl, born in 1906, was 6 feet tall before he turned 10 years old. He was almost 7 feet 7 inches at age 13. His actual height is unknown, but estimates range from 7 feet 7 inches to 8 feet 6 inches. He was so tall because he suffered from a disorder known as acromegalic gigantism. While his height could be helpful in some situations, it could also be detrimental in others. Earl was a Hollywood actor who appeared in films like Hansel and Gretel and Jack and the Beanstalk before suffering serious injuries in a fall from scaffolding and retiring from the industry. The Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus soon learned of his accident and offered him a 1-year contract with the circus. Earl had previously stated that he would never participate in a freak show, but he needed a job, so he reluctantly agreed to sign the contract. Cuckoo, the Bird Girl. Born in 1880 in Georgia, she had a condition called Virchow-Seckel syndrome, also known as bird-headed dwarfism. The syndrome gave Cuckoo her unique features: a small head, a beak-like nose, and a receding jaw. During performances, Minnie often wore a bird-like costume, including feathers and a feathered tiara, which reinforced her nickname, the Bird Girl. Her performances included eccentric dances and movements that mimicked those of a bird, and she often swayed and moved her arms as if they were wings. Francesco Frank Lentini, born in 1889 in Syracuse, Sicily, was an artist born with a third leg protruding from the right side of his body due to a congenital defect. Lentini did not let this unique characteristic hold him back. Instead, he turned it into an opportunity to educate and entertain others. At the age of 8, he needed to eat 15% more to feed the extra leg. During performances, he demonstrated extraordinary abilities, such as jumping rope and kicking soccer balls with his third leg. Lionel, born in 1890 in Poland, became known as the lion-faced man due to his condition of hypertrichosis, which gave him a lion's mane all over his face and body. At just 4 years old, he was sold to a German circus owner who saw potential in his unique appearance. Lionel became one of the most popular attractions in curiosity shows. During his performances, he often told his life story, explaining how his condition led him to enter the world of sideshow entertainment. Lionel was a headliner for many renowned circuses, including the Barnum and Bailey Circus. Born black and albino in Virginia in the late 19th century, brothers George and Willie Muse were kidnapped from their community in 1899. The brothers were taken from their mother, Harriet Muse, and eventually hired, under circumstances that would now be considered coercion and exploitation, by a sideshow due to their unique appearance caused by albinism. They were promoted as Echo and Eco, the Martian ambassadors, among other exotic and invented titles that distanced them from their true identities and heritage. Despite the hardships and exploitation of having to work for many years in circuses, George and Willie became popular figures in curiosity shows. They were eventually rescued by their mother, which led to a legal battle for their freedom. Isaac W. Sprague, known as the Human Skeleton, was a famous circus performer born in 1841 in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts. He began to lose weight drastically at age 12 due to an unknown condition that left him extremely thin. Despite his normal diet, he could not gain weight, resulting in a skeletal appearance that became his trademark. Isaac began his entertainment career in 1865 when he joined P.T. Barnum's Circus. His medical condition remained a mystery, but some theories suggest he may have suffered from an extreme form of muscle atrophy or a metabolic disorder. Lavery Valley, better known by her stage name, Charmian. Born in 1875, Charmian was known for her performances showcasing her impressive physical strength. One of her most well-known performances involved undressing while performing acrobatics on the trapeze, which caused a great sensation at the time. Charmian is remembered as a pioneer in the circus world. Fannie Mills, born in Ohio in the 1850s, suffered from a condition known as Milroy's disease. This condition caused her feet to reach extraordinary dimensions, up to an impressive 20 inches in length and 8 inches in width. She was often advertised as the big-footed woman, and her condition attracted much curiosity and fascination. Fannie turned her unique condition into a career in curiosity shows, where she performed in circuses and dime museums. The demand for her performances skyrocketed, allowing her to earn significant amounts of money from her shows, enabling her to support herself and her family. Facial contortionist Alfred Hyland displays his unique talent during an exhibition in Glasgow. Hyland was famous for his unusual ability to distort and manipulate his face in impressive ways, entertaining and intriguing the audience. Grady Stiles, better known as Lobster Boy, was born in 1937 with a rare condition called ectrodactyly, which gave him claw-like lobster hands and feet. Grady began performing at a young age, following in the footsteps of his father, who also had ectrodactyly. He became a popular figure in circuses, using his claw-like hands to perform tricks and manipulate objects in unique ways. Despite his fame and success as a performer, Grady Stiles' personal life was marked by tragedies and controversies. He was known for his abusive and violent behavior, especially when drunk. In 1978, Grady was convicted of murder after shooting and killing his daughter's fiancé on the eve of their wedding. Due to his physical condition, he received a light sentence and was put on probation. In 1992, Grady Stiles was murdered by a hitman hired by his wife, Maria Teresa, and his son, in retaliation for years of abuse they had suffered. Grady Stiles' story is one of the darkest and most complex in the world of sideshows, showing a tragic side of life behind the curtains. Ella Harper, better known as the Camel Girl, was born in 1870 with a rare orthopedic condition called genu recurvatum, which caused her knees to bend backward, allowing her to move more easily on all fours. Ella became a popular attraction in circuses and freak shows in the 1880s, entering the world of curiosity shows at 9 years old under the guidance of showman W.H. Harris. She was featured in posters and advertisements that promoted her unique abilities, often describing her as a wonder of nature. Oddity Fat and Skinny Man, known as the Circus Boxers, were an iconic duo in early 20th century curiosity shows and circuses. They stood out for the contrast in their physical appearances. One was extraordinarily obese, and the other incredibly skinny. The performances of Oddity Fat and Skinny Man revolved around theatrical enactments, often centered on humorous boxing matches. This is Grace McDaniels, known as the Mule-Faced Woman. Born in 1888, she had Sturge-Weber syndrome, which caused a striking facial malformation. In the 1930s, Grace joined Harry Lewiston's Circus, where her unique appearance made her a popular attraction, providing support for herself and her son Elmer, John Jennings, known as the modern Samson. Born in 1890, Jennings was famous for his extraordinary physical strength, which earned him a nickname inspired by the biblical character known for his superhuman strength. He became a popular attraction in circuses and fairs, where his displays of power impressed audiences and established him as one of the strongest men of his time. In his performances, Jennings bent steel bars with his hands, lifted enormous weights over his head, and pulled heavy vehicles with chains attached to his body. Pascual Piñon, better known as the Two-Headed Mexican, was a Mexican railroad worker who caught the attention of a curiosity show promoter due to a large cyst or tumor on top of his head. To increase the visual appeal and curiosity of the audience, a facial prosthesis was crafted to resemble a second face, complete with makeup to highlight facial features like eyes, nose, and mouth. He traveled throughout North America, where his exhibitions drew large crowds. Chang and Eng Bunker were the first known conjoined twins and the most famous. The twins moved to the United States in 1829 and gained fame by performing in circuses and fairs. In their performances, they performed a variety of acts designed to showcase their unique condition and impress the audience. They often showed the audience how they were physically joined at the sternum, which in itself was a major attraction, to demonstrate their ability to live a relatively normal life. They performed everyday tasks together, such as walking, running, and doing simple chores, showing how they could coordinate their movements despite being conjoined. Felix, born in Wisconsin, USA in 1858, discovered early on that he had impressive abilities. He could stretch his skin like a rubber band and fold it completely back without even sweating. He took his show on the road, dazzling audiences in museums and impressing crowds at circus shows like the famous Ringling Brothers Circus. Experts speculated that Felix might have suffered from Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a condition characterized by weak connective tissue, resulting in skin that stretches like elastic and extremely loose joints. Frances O'Connor, who was born without arms, learned to eat, drink, write, and sew exclusively with her feet, all on her own. She joined the Ringling Brothers at the age of 15 while living in Sheridan with her mother as her manager. O'Connor's act mainly consisted of her performing activities that the audience considered routine, such as drinking wine or beer, eating a steak, or writing a letter. If you were lucky, you could see her holding and aiming a gun with her feet while pulling the trigger with her toes. Today, it is entirely normal to find people with their entire body, or a large part of it, tattooed. However, in the past, the reality was quite different. We lived in a time when social norms were extremely rigid, especially for women. Showing one's legs was considered indecent, and the idea of a woman displaying her body covered in tattoos was unimaginable to many. It was in this different time that the tattooed woman became an iconic figure in freak and curiosity shows of the era, Circus artist Pablo Noel performing a dangerous acrobatic act in Hamburg, Germany in 1962. He has his head inside a lion's mouth in an act of extreme domination and trust, typical of training numbers with large felines. Performances like this were common in circuses of the time, attracting crowds who came to see the risky interaction between humans and wild animals. Olga, a lion tamer, facing 3 male lions with only a chair and a stick in her hands. Taming lions was one of the most dangerous and fascinating acts in old circuses, requiring a combination of courage and control over the animals. These training numbers impressed the audience but also posed extreme risks to the artists. Photo of 3 acrobats who decided to perform an impressive and risky balance act on the Empire State Building in New York City in 1934. Despite being impressive and also an act of great courage, we can see how at that time it was common for these artists not to care about their own safety when performing their acts. Photo of Sonora Webster Carver mid-jump with her horse Lightning during a horse diving performance. She became famous for her diving performances, where she and her horse jumped from great heights into a tank of water. Sonora continued to perform these acts even after losing her sight in an accident during one of the jumps, which made her a legend for her courage and determination. Photo of legendary circus artist Karl Wallenda crossing the Tallulah Gorge on a tightrope in 1970. Known for his bold, high-altitude balancing performances, Karl Wallenda was part of the famous acrobat family, the Flying Wallendas. This crossing, without modern safety equipment, was one of his most iconic demonstrations, performed over 984 feet above the canyon. Wallenda was renowned for his incredible ability to maintain balance under extreme conditions, enchanting and frightening the audience at the same time. Circus artist posing next to a domesticated bear. We can see that he is standing on his hind legs and wearing a decorative collar and hat, typical of circus performances. Bears were generally trained to perform tricks and present to the audience. A member of Sir Robert Fawcett's family circus prepares a boxing kangaroo for the show. The kangaroo, a curious and popular attraction, was trained to fight theatrically with the artists, simulating a boxing match. Sir Robert Fawcett's circus was one of the oldest and most respected family circuses in Great Britain. A lion tamer working with a group of large felines during a performance at the Bertram Mills Touring Circus. The lions, positioned on pedestals, display their fierce expressions while the tamer commands them with gestures and a rod, creating a spectacle of control and tension. A polar bear performs an unusual trick, seemingly riding a motorcycle in a circus show, while an artist watches and accompanies the performance. This act illustrates the extreme training circus animals underwent to perform actions completely outside their natural behavior. A circus trainer interacts dangerously with a huge polar bear during a performance. The bear, standing on its hind legs, is in close proximity to the trainer, highlighting the risks involved in such acts. The strength and size of a polar bear make it one of the most dangerous creatures, and being so close without immediate protection underscores the peril. Patricia Bourne trains lions to stand on their hind legs during the annual Bertram Mills Circus, held in Olympia, London. Training large felines like lions to perform such specific tricks was a fascinating and dangerous part of circus performances of the time. A strong woman performs an impressive feat of strength and balance by supporting a piano and a pianist on her chest. In circuses of the time, it wasn't only men who drew attention for their unusual strength. Women also demonstrated impressive feats, always captivating the audience. In this photo, we see an impressive demonstration of strength and endurance, where a man supports a large stone block on his stomach, while another man is about to crush it with a sledgehammer. This type of feat was common in circuses and strength shows, where artists demonstrated their incredible physical endurance by withstanding extreme impacts without apparent injury. Circus artist swallowing a snake. This was another of the highly risky and fascinating performances. The snake swallower was one of the most impressive numbers for the audience, who watched with a mixture of fascination, agony, and fear. A circus artist performing a balance number on stacked chairs atop a building. Sitting on the last chair, he maintains his balance in a dangerous and precarious position, demonstrating extreme body control and concentration. These types of acts, performed in high and exposed locations, were a way to attract the audience's attention. A circus contortionist performing an impressive balance maneuver, sustaining himself only with his teeth. He demonstrates an incredible combination of extreme flexibility and strength, fundamental characteristics of contortion performances that were popular in circuses of the time. The ability to balance the body in challenging and seemingly impossible positions fascinated the audience, who watched these performances in awe. Although at first glance this appears to be a photo of a clown with a lion, the animal is actually another artist wearing a costume. One of the greatest landmarks of all circuses around the world, clowns with painted faces and funny costumes were responsible for mixing moments of high tension with dangerous performances and moments of comic relief with lots of laughter. A troupe of artists performing an impressive aerial ballet. This type of performance required years of training to master the precision and strength necessary to perform the acrobatics safely, capturing the audience's attention with their beauty and boldness. A crowd gathered on the sidewalks of New York City to watch the circus parade down the street. Elephants, with their handlers mounted, march in a line, a common sight during the great circus parades of the time. These parades were used to announce the circus's arrival in the city, attracting the general public to the shows. The parade included artists, animals, and colorful wagons, creating an atmosphere of great anticipation. A circus trainer works with a leopard, performing tricks to entertain the audience. The leopard, sitting on a small bench, obeys the trainer's commands, who holds a rod as a direction tool. Bengal tigers, trained by Charlie Bauman, perform at the Bertram Mills Circus in 1959. Bauman, a renowned big cat trainer, executed breathtaking acts where tigers jumped through hoops and performed tricks that defied their natural instincts. Master of ceremonies. Billy Rayner trains fleas in 1954. The act of training fleas was a curious attraction in circuses of the time, known as the flea circus. These performances involved tiny insects that appeared to perform tricks like pulling miniature carts or jumping over obstacles, but it was often an illusion, with objects moved by invisible threads. A circus artist performs an act with a bear. Both are balancing on large circus balls, requiring incredible coordination and training. The bear, trained for this number, stands on the ball while the artist maintains contact and guides it. A circus artist sits inside a large cannon prepared to be launched. This type of performance was one of the most dangerous and popular attractions in circuses, known as the human cannonball. The artist was propelled by a spring or compressed air mechanism and flew through the air, landing in a safety net. A circus act involving a tiger atop an elephant with the trainer standing on the larger animal. The risk of an accident involving two large wild animals is high, as any unexpected movement could lead to an uncontrollable situation. Riders perform an acrobatic number atop horses in full motion at the Tower Circus. In this performance, the riders need to synchronize their movements and maintain stability on the galloping horses, an extremely risky task requiring great skill. Famous lion tamer Clyde Beatty in action, training a group of lions in 1932. Beatty was known for his ability to control large wild felines in circus acts, often facing multiple lions and tigers simultaneously within an arena. His training style involved the use of a whip and a chair, classic symbols of the profession. A seal performs at a circus, using a harness while its trainer remains nearby. The animal is in the middle of an acrobatic act, jumping through a hoop, a typical trick in circuses involving marine animals. Seals were trained to perform a variety of tricks, such as balancing balls, jumping, and interacting with objects. A circus artist performs a dangerous fire-eating act, a common practice in circus shows that requires great skill. The trick involves manipulating flames with precision and controlling them so they appear to be consumed by the artist. Dee Cosmeyer performs an impressive equestrian act at the Bertram Mills Circus in London. The number involves riding two horses simultaneously while executing coordinated tricks and maneuvers with mastery. Equestrian performances have always been a central part of the circus, showcasing the harmony between rider and animal. Gargantua the Great, a famous giant gorilla presented by the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Gargantua became known both for his impressive size and his tragic story. His face was scarred after a sailor threw acid on him while aboard a ship coming from Africa. The incident left Gargantua with an intimidating expression, which was exploited by circuses as part of his attraction, making him one of the show's biggest stars. Dixie, an elephant from Whipsnade Zoo, displays an impressive part of her repertoire, along with her handler, George Bram. The image captures the moment Dixie holds Bram by the mouth, demonstrating the high level of training and trust between the handler and the animal. Mr. Valencius holds two of his performing animals, a dog and a fox. A female contortionist displays her incredible flexibility. The artist is in a position that demonstrates her ability to bend her body impressively, a skill that was part of circus performances of the time. Contortionists were a popular attraction, fascinating audiences with their physical prowess and extreme control over their bodies. A circus elephant performing an impressive trick, balancing on its front legs while supporting its weight on bottles. The photo showcases the skill and training required for such a large animal to execute this feat with precision. Trained elephants were among the most popular circus attractions of the time, and acts like this delighted audiences, who were amazed by the animal's agility and control. Jacko and Bess, two mandrills performing at the Olympia Circus in London. Jacko is wearing a suit and Bess a dress imitating a human couple. The famous acrobat Gladys Roy, known as the Daredevil, trains her bold aerial acrobatics on top of a skyscraper in Los Angeles. Balancing dangerously on the edge of the building, we can see the extreme risk involved in her acts, which frequently defied gravity and human limits. The famous German strongman Eugene Sandow, on the left, and another man dressed as Goliath, apparently staging a fight with what appears to be a bear. Eugene Sandow was widely known as the father of modern bodybuilding, and his strength and physique impressed audiences around the world. He became an icon in strength shows and physical displays, often participating in acts with other characters in dramatic settings. A 1921 photo in Berlin shows a woman brushing the teeth of a circus hippopotamus during a break between performances. The hippopotamus, another animal that served as an exotic attraction in circuses of the time, keeps its mouth open and cooperates with its handler. Clementine Clateau Delay, a famous bearded lady who became a celebrity in her time. Delay suffered from hirsutism, a condition that causes excessive hair growth in women, which led her to grow her beard and stand out as a popular curiosity. Unlike many women with the same condition, Delay embraced her unusual appearance and used it to gain notoriety, becoming an attraction in fairs and shows throughout Europe. She also owned a cafe in France where she often posed for photos and interacted with onlookers, confidently and dignifiedly taking advantage of her fame. Jojo, known as the dog-faced boy. Jojo, whose real name was Fedor Jeftichu, suffered from a rare condition called hypertrichosis, which caused excessive hair growth all over his body, including his face. He was one of the standout attractions in circuses and variety shows of the time, where he was presented as a human curiosity. Children watch the famous clown Lou Jacobs from the Ringling Circus as he applies his makeup in Tallahassee, Florida. Lou Jacobs was one of the most iconic clowns in circus history, known for his classic look and comedic performances. A circus artist performing a feat of strength by carrying a young elephant that must weigh over 220 pounds on his shoulders. Circus artist lifts 3 acrobats, one in each arm and another balanced on his shoulders. This type of performance was common in old circuses, highlighting the extraordinary strength of some artists, which always enchanted the audience. Austrian acrobats in action during the show performing an impressive balance maneuver. One of the acrobats is mounted on a bicycle while supporting her partner, who is upside down and balanced only by one hand. 4 artists from the Hannaford's Canadian Circus posing for the camera, wearing elaborate costumes and smiling, reflecting the circus's joyful spirit. The Hannaford Circus was known for its colorful and international productions, bringing artists from different parts of the world to entertain the audience with a wide variety of acts, including acrobatics, animals, and theatrical performances. A trainer works with a camel during a circus performance in Slovenia, using a whip as a direction tool while the camel performs its movements. Exotic animals like camels were often used in circus performances, showcasing their skills and training in choreographed numbers. Acrobatic rider Dorothy Herbert performs an impressive maneuver, hanging upside down while her horse rears up on its hind legs. Known for her horse acrobatics, Dorothy was one of the main stars of circus shows and rodeos. Her performance required an extraordinary combination of balance, control, and confidence both in the horse and in her own dexterity. 3 brave women participate in a show working alongside trainer Walter McLean and his elephants. They are mounted on the elephants while the animals perform tricks, balancing on their hind legs. This number showcased the harmony between the handlers and the animals. An artist performing an acrobatic act on a structure called the Crazy Rat Wheel. He pedals his bicycle inside a spinning wheel suspended in the air, creating an exciting spectacle. The wheel is powered by the cyclist's own momentum, while assistants below monitor the performance and ensure safety. We can say this is the early version of what would later become the famous Globe of Death, currently performed with multiple motorcycles riding in circles in a steel globe at the same time. Young lion tamer named Adiji posing alongside her large felines during a circus performance. The famous acrobat family, the Flying Walendas, perfecting their tightrope walking routine. Known for their challenging acrobatics, they performed their numbers at great heights without the use of safety nets, which made their performances even more impressive and dangerous. 2 acrobats performing a manual balance act. One of the artists supports the other with one hand, while the partner remains perfectly aligned upside down, demonstrating the incredible strength, control, and precision of the acrobats who train for years to reach this level of skill. Members of the Otari's aerial troupe performing an impressive headstand balance act on a tightrope in Sarasota, Florida in 1930. They are suspended in the air using long poles to help balance, while a crowd of spectators watches from a nearby roof. The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus in the background was known for its grand performances and acts like this. Photo of contortionist Psalm, the elastic wonder of the world, atop a flower vase showcasing stunning flexibility. His incredible twists amazed audiences, redefining the limits of the human body. A clown from Hannaford's Canadian Circus, with his big pants, a common costume in circus performances of the time. Clowns often used exaggerated and colorful outfits to cause laughter and attract the audience's attention. 2 young acrobats, part of the Les Andreu group, performing an impressive balance maneuver. The child on top is balanced upside down on the head of the other, without using hands or any additional support. Children who grew up in circuses often began training and performing from an early age, developing acrobatic skills alongside their parents and family members. Photo of Alexander Marshall, known as the Strong Man, performing an impressive act, lifting 2 women suspended on a steel bar that he holds with his teeth. This type of strength demonstration was one of the highlights in circus performances of the time, where men showcased extraordinary physical abilities to entertain and impress the audience. In this 1950 photo, we see a woman being lifted by an elephant in an unusual way. The animal, named Burma, is holding the head of its partner in spectacles within its own mouth. These risky tricks, often performed without adequate safety measures, exposed both the artists and the animals to great risks. The fact that an elephant lifts a person demonstrates the strength of these animals, but also highlights the danger involved. Photo during a Ringling Brothers circus stop in 1940. In it, we see trainer Walter McLean training with his elephants. We can see the animals performing tricks and balancing on pedestals. Elephants were one of the biggest attractions of old circuses. This type of show began to lose popularity in the second half of the 20th century due to concerns about animal welfare. A group of acrobats performing an impressive aerial formation, where they are suspended from each other by suspenders. Each acrobat holds their partner above them, creating a chain of balance and strength that defies gravity. This type of performance showed the trust and cooperation between the artists, as well as the incredible physical ability required to support the group's weight.